Hello guys! I want to talk to you today about why a clean GI tract and bowels are crucial and very important to the health of our bodies, and how working on that system is the most important thing you can work on during your detox journey. Well, let's get into it. I really am passionate about this one because this is probably one of the most important things you can do for the success in your healing journey, and the thing that we all, and I can say that honestly, we all need to work on this issue together as a group, because we all have chronic bowels to a certain degree or another from all of these poor diets that most of us have been raised on. I love to do iridology readings. I am trained through Dr. Morris as a detoxification specialist, and I love to do iridology readings, and he also trained us in that because he was good friends with Dr. Bernard Jensen, and that's considered the father of American iridology. And so I love to talk about, and I love to give iridology readings, and I see every day in all these readings I give that 95%, and I really can say it's that high of a percentage, of all the people that I see have chronic bowels. There's a small percentage of them that have subacute, but that's right behind chronic, and there's not many people that have, let's say, acute or the beginning stages of bad bowels. And it's because so many of the foods that we eat on a regular basis, and as we were growing up on the standard American diets, too much of the constipating, congesting, mucousy foods, dairy products, or oily foods, greasy foods, too much animal products, too much meat, too much, cheeses, butter, sour cream, too much breads and flours and pasta, especially all flour-based products. Those are one of the things that contribute the most to mucoid plaque. And also refined sugars and salt. And salt is very bad because it dehydrates the colon, and it causes a lot of problems for the colon because of that dehydration. And we need salt and sodium, of course, but we need it from the plant-based foods like celery and cucumber, and the foods that naturally have living sodium in them, because it's in a living form, and it's the kind that our bodies can use very easily, and it's already in an alkaline form as well. And then when you take all of these standard American foods and you put them together, like when fast food, that's what makes our system have such problems in our GI tract and our bowels. And see, what a lot of people don't know is that when you are in your embryonic stage in your development, when you're in your mother's womb, your body first forms the colon or the bowels. And a lot of your genetic weaknesses you get from your mom that are passed down to you, they form first there in the bowels. And when they form first there, that's where it can cause weaknesses in all of our other organs and all of our other body parts from those weaknesses in our stomach and our GI tract. And see, we see that in the study of iridology. It's called the neural arch syndrome. It's where when you see on the iris of the eye, right there on the borderline of the bowels and then the rest of the iris, it's right on the border. You'll see a lot of the weaknesses that the person has all the way around the iris of the eye. It'll be right there on that borderline. And that's an indicator that a lot of the weaknesses that the person has and challenges they're going to have to go through to achieve a higher state of health is all going to revolve around working on their colon and their bowels. And of course their stomach too, because your stomach, your bowels, your colon, your GI tract, it's all in that area of the eye that's usually the most chronic, and especially the transverse colon. The very top part of the iris is the part that's connected to your head, and it's this part of the bowels. This is your transverse. I'll go over it right quick for you guys. It first starts with your small intestines, and then your it starts with your mouth, then it starts with your esophagus, then it goes down to your stomach, and then it goes from your stomach to your small intestines, and then it goes from your small intestines to your large intestines. Well, right there where your small intestines meet your large intestines is what they call the ileocecal valve. And it's that valve that it has a lot of, it has to deal with the transference of the different cell lining in the lining of the small intestines to the cell lining of the large intestines. And it's very ironic that it has a lot to do with our bacteria balance in that area, as well as our B12 production. Well, where does your B12 production happen in your body? In the good bacteria area of your bowels. Well, what just happens to be right there where the small intestines comes into the large intestines? Right there at the very beginning of the large intestines. You know, in the cecum area. That's right. It goes it goes from the small intestines to the cecum. That's the very beginning stages of the large intestines. Well, right at the very bottom of the cecum is the appendix. And the appendix, my friends, is a bacteria storehouse for good bacteria in your body. Don't ever let anyone tell you, because it's so sad and so brainwashed and so horribly wrong, that that is a vestigial organ and we do not need that organ anymore. That is an unnecessary or unuseful organ, when that's so horrible and so bad. That has a lot to do with your immune system, and especially your immune system and your bacteria balance of your large intestines and your colon. And that is the reason why that relationship with the appendix, the ileocecal valve, the B12 production, all of those things that are going on in that area. And then it goes from the cecum, it goes up to what's called the ascending. It's always on the right-hand side of your body. It's the ascending goes up, and then it meets the transverse colon. The transverse colon is right here underneath your ribs, and that is the area that a lot of people have a lot of problems with, because that's the reason why they have a lot of problems in their head, and their head is real congested. Because if you have a lot of head congestion, again, in your iris photographs, then you will see a lot of the weaknesses in your master gland areas in your brain, and you'll have a lot of congestion in your sinuses. You'll have a lot of headaches and sinus problems and head congestion and ear problems and headaches, and just, oh, this goes on and on and on. Dandruff and all kind of head congestion and problems, because all that area is congested, all because your bowels are congested. And if your master glands in your head are congested with all that acids, then how do you expect your master glands to work right? Okay, then if your master glands, you know, your hypothalamus helps your pituitary to run right. Well, your pituitary is what they call the master gland, because your pituitary is what helps all the rest of your glands to work correctly. Well, how do you expect your adrenals and your kidneys, because your adrenals help regulate your kidneys? Well, if Dr. Morris says that it's so important to help our adrenal glands and our kidneys to work right, well, if your adrenal glands and your kidneys don't work right, then how do you expect your adrenal glands to work right if your pituitary isn't working right? How do you expect your pituitary not to work right if your hypothalamus isn't working right? How do you expect those master glands to work right if your brain is so congested? How do you expect your brain to drain if your bowels are so dirty and congested? So it all goes back to those bowels. You got to get the bowels to drain so your head can drain, and then all your glandular system can work better. You know, and that's the reason why so many of us, we struggle and we have so much trouble on getting our kidneys to filter and getting our health of our bodies to just have the quality of health that we all desire. You know, and then it goes from your transverse, it goes down to your descending colon, and then it goes from your descending colon down to your sigmoid, and then it goes from your sigmoid down to your rectum, and then from your rectum down to your anus. Well, your sigmoid and your rectum are a lot of times very congested and very polluted and very acidic for most people, because that's actually where the waste stays in the GI tract and the bowels the longest, because that's the area where the bowels are trying to compact all of the waste products, and they're trying to get all the water out of them so that they won't, they'll be the perfect consistency. And it's because that the waste stays in those areas for so long that it causes a lot of damage to those areas, because the acids and the mucus and all that stays in that area for so long. And what makes it even, worse and even harder on those areas is, by the time a lot of us that eat the standard American diet, by the time the animal products make it down to that part of our intestines, because it takes so long for the food to get down to that area, that it makes it where the acids and the congestion, because the animal-based products have done putrefied. That means they've done rotted by the time they've got down to that part of the body, in that part of the bowels. And so it makes it very acidic and very bad on the colon, and it makes it very hard on that area, because of those acids, accumulation of acids. And, so that's the reason why the bowels are so important for our health of our bodies. And that's why it's so important for us to work on cleaning the bowels. Well, now I will talk about some things that are very important that we need to work on to help our bowels to become cleaner. The main thing that we want to do is we want to get on more alkaline-based foods, and we want to stop eating the acidic-based foods, because that will cut down on the mucus and the pus and those bad, horrible chemicals and ammonia and pollutants and GMO foods and all those bad things that we have in the standard American diet that will help our colon to immediately have some relief. And it will keep the buildup from keeping on building up from eating those foods. So I encourage you to, if you're still trying to transition to a healthier alkaline fruits and vegetable based diet, I encourage you to go through the transition process and try to work your way up from eating those kind of foods to more and more fruits and vegetables, and then get to an all alkaline based diet. And then in the meantime too, I want you to start working on using the power of the herbs. Herbs are so important in our journey because they are literally medicine for us, And the one that are very important is a good stomach and bowel formula. I personally like Dr. Morse's stomach and bowel formula the best, because my parents have had a health food store for 13 years. And so you can imagine all the different stomach and bowel or colon formulas that I've experimented with over the years. And I've also seen all of our customers that have given us feedback that they've experimented with. And they have all told us different experiences they've had. And the thing that's so bad about some of your stomach and bowel formulas or colon formulas is they form dependency, and they form scarring and damaging, because some of the ingredients are real harsh, like senna, and some of them that are real harsh on the bowels. And see, those are not the ones that Dr. Morse puts in his formulas. He has designed his formulas to be used long term to help our bowels to have a restorative function, to encourage the bowels to not only have a gentle cleansing, but to be restorative to the bowels. That's why I tell you honestly, guys, I'm not here just to only promote Dr. Morse's herbs, because I want people to have all available resources to help them in their journey to Wellville. I just want people to understand that I have tried all the different formulas, and honestly, me and my girlfriend both, you probably seen her, she snuck in here, she was walking around and stuff here while we're enjoying ourselves out here in the woods, and we have both agreed that we really like the Dr. Morse stomach and bowel formulas. And so that's why I really encourage you to use his formulas to help get out a lot of that mucoid plaque, a lot of the mucus, a lot of the buildup of trash in our bowels and stuff, And so that covers that topic of herbs that we can use that really help our bowels. The second one is the GI broom he has. It's a really great formula because it's a mixture of all different kinds of herbs and clays, like bentonite clay and activated charcoal, and it really helps to get the poison and the mucus and the toxins and the chemical residues from pharmaceuticals, the parasites, the biofilms from the parasites, all these different things that we have accumulated in the bowels. And also too, we those products, those herbs and things in there, they're very gentle. They're not going to cause too bad of binding and constipation for people, as long as they don't have severe problems with those already. See, that's the most important thing I want to talk about the GI broom, is I want people to understand that if you have severe problems with constipation, I would wait about using the GI broom at first until you restore some of your bowel function through the stomach and bowel formulas, and then work on using the GI broom. But make sure that you only take the GI broom when your bowels are moving through using the stomach and bowel formulas. And when I like using the GI broom the most is when I'm doing a juice cleanse or a type of a liquid cleanse that I'm not going to have lots of solid foods. Another important thing to remember about taking the GI broom is make sure you don't take it at the same time when you take any herbs, because those products can absorb the herb some, because of its absorption power. And you don't want to, not get the most out of your herbs, and you don't want to get the most out of your GI broom. So wait a couple of hours after you take the herbs, or a couple of hours before you take the herbs. That's the best way. But remember also too, guys, it's not as important when you eat food, because Dr. Morse even tells you, you can take, if you get the GI broom in powder form, you can take it with juice. It's okay. I just wouldn't take it with any of the herbs, And then the next one is something that you can do if you don't have access, or if Dr. Morse's GI broom is kind of expensive and you want to get something that you can take on a more of a bulk amount. And I also love to use this formula that I'm about to tell you of some different products to help offset me from using the GI broom too fast. It's a mixture. Here's the recipe. It is 1 cup of psyllium husk. Make sure that you get organic if you can find it. It's a better quality. You mix a cup of psyllium husk, 5 tablespoons of food-grade bentonite clay, 5 tablespoons of activated charcoal, and that's the main part of the recipe. But also what I like to tell people that are awesome, very, very good for your bowels, very good to help cleanse us out, because they're very soothing and very gently cleansing to our bowels, and they're a good fiber for our bowels. And the next one is put 5 tablespoons of slippery elm bark. That's a great one. Get the powder, and that's so good. It's such a very soothing and oral demulcent, they call it. It's very soothing to the mucous membranes. That's a good one you can put in there. And then also acacia fiber. Acacia is an amazing fiber that is tasteless, and a lot of times it's organic. And put 5 tablespoons of that in there too if you're able to get a hold of that. And mix all those together, and this is a very important part. Listen to me closely. Mix all of those together in a glass bowl with a wooden spoon. Use that. That's very important, because the activated charcoal and the slippery elm, the bentonite clay, especially the bentonite clay, it can absorb the heavy metals from the bowl or from the spoon. That's why it's very important to make sure that you don't use any kind of metal that comes in contact with those products. And mix them all together, and then the dosage is anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon of that every night or every morning, if you want to take it every night. Sometimes I'll take the GI broom some nights, and then sometimes I'll take that formula there. But use a glass measuring bowl or a wooden spoon again to put some in your cup. And then I like to put it in 8 ounces of water or 4 ounces of water. But most of the time it's 8 ounces of water. I'll take a 16-ounce mason jar and I'll put it in 8 ounces of water. Yeah, 8 ounces of water is better. That's better now that I think about it. 4 ounces would be too small. It would turn straight to pudding. Then you'd have to eat it with a spoon, which a lot of people, that'd be disgusting too, So put it in 8 ounces of water or a whole 16 ounces of water. And but if you're trying not to drink a lot of water, because you're trying to do more, less water, and so that there won't be so much water on our kidneys, then you use 8 ounces of water. and put it in a mason jar, put a lid on it, and shake it up real good, and then drink it real fast before it swells up. And then you won't have to worry about, it eating it like a pudding, and it'll already swell up in your bowels and in your stomach, and it'll help already absorb some of those chemicals. That's a great mixture of different things that's really, really awesome to help our bowels. And then the next thing that is really good to help your bowels is colonics, enemas, and a colema board. Well, colonics are very amazing if you go to a good colonic hydrotherapist, because number one, they know what they're doing, they can do it in a safe manner, and they can get up really high, all the way up into your transverse colon, and they can work over here to your descending colon some too with the pressure of the water. And they only let the pressure go up as high as you can stand it, and then you tell them that's all you can stand, and then they let it out. And man, they've gotten out some massive nasty stuff out of people. Dr. Morse talks about it in his book here. He talks about that he's seen some impacted fecal matter that's been up in people for 10 to 20 years or longer that they haven't been able to get out just until they did a colonic because of that power. Just make sure, you go to someone that knows what they're doing. And the only downside about a colonic is that, it's not as nice because for some people, because they kind of feel uneasy going around someone and sometimes that procedure we like to be in a private setting, but at the same time though, as useful as a colonic can be to us, we can get over a little bit. Those people see it all the time, so it's nothing new to them, And then the next thing that's the best is a colema board. Dr. Jensen, he actually come out with a colema board, if I'm not mistaken, and he actually sold one for his whole entire time. And it's one that it's kind of like doing an enema, but it's an upper enema. It's an enema that will get on your transverse colon and your descending colon, and because it goes up in you much higher, and it's called an upper enema. And you can run much more higher amounts of water through your bowels as well. And then what you do is that you just sit there relaxed, lay on this board that the one end goes over your toilet and the other end either goes over a chair or a stool. And then you just lay there with the pillow and you allow 3 to 5 gallons to flush through your colon. And it just flushes and flushes and flushes out massive amounts of trash. And we've heard lots of people that have gotten out a lot of trash that way. And then the last one is just a regular enema with a classic water bottle, the enema water bottle, and that just really does your lower bowels. It does your rectum, your sigmoid, your anus, anus, rectum, sigmoid, and some of your ascending colon, or some of your cecum. No, I'm sorry. Some of your descending. I was getting mixed up, descending colon, because it's on that side, And it will get all that out real well. And it get maybe a small amount of your transverse, but not a lot. It just mostly gets those lower parts of your bowels, which is still beneficial, can be very beneficial. And a great place to let your body get used to having water up in those areas. Because, it takes your body a little time to adjust to having that going on, And then those are the main forms of bowel cleansing with water. And what you can do also with giving yourself an enema and a colema board, an upper enema with a colema board or an enema from an enema bag is what's really useful. And Dr. Morse talks about in his book, I was just doing a video on talking about his book, and he talks about in his book that use like the stomach and bowel tea or other herbal teas or the stomach tea, the Heal-All tea or the stomach tea, and then other herbal teas that you can use that's real good for using in an enema, because it will help get herbal teas up in there. It'll help kind of break up the stuff a little better because the herbs are astringent. And it's also really good to get medicine and herbs up in that area because it doesn't have to go through your digestive system. So that's a great thing you can do. Then some people, they use lemon juice, but I would go very easy with that because lemon juice, you don't want to do too much. Take it from me. I had to learn the hard way. Do very small amounts of lemon juice. And and if you want to try it. But I recommend you be careful because it can be really aggressive, and you can make it where you can't hold it in your bowels very long, the water. And remember, the longer you can hold it in your bowels, the more it can help soften up that dry, crusty bowels that are in those areas. And then that's a good thing. And then one thing I want to talk about that even Dr. Morrissey says do not do, no matter how many people you hear talk about this. Do not, please, my friends, do coffee enemas. Coffee enemas are very bad. Number one, coffee is very acidic. And we, on this alkaline-based lifestyle that we're trying to do to help regenerate our bodies, we do not want to use high acidic foods or liquids. That's like the opposite of what we're trying to do here. Now, a lot of you may say, but what about Dr. Gerson, where they talk about using that and helping stimulate your liver to help the bile flow out better and it just helping a lot, but that's so not good at all because, again, that's someone that he didn't understand how bad it stresses out our bowels. It causes a loss. This is what Dr. Morris says. It causes a loss of energy. And you need as much energy for the body to help with healing. And he said it causes innervation. That's a loss of energy. So that's, again, going against what we want to do in this modality of healing, is we want to encourage more energy. We want to encourage more alkalinity. So please, my friends, no matter what you've heard about the coffee enemas, please listen to Dr. Morris from all of his years of experience. And trust me, it's better to do these other methods if you're going to do bowel cleansing than to do coffee enemas. But one thing I also want to talk about for a second is, please, guys, have responsibility with doing all colonics and all enemas and things like that, because your body can get very addicted to them, and you can get very addicted to them, and they can be something you can abuse very easily. So please, my friends, use them with responsibility and don't abuse them, because they can be very beneficial. But don't do more than about maybe 2 or 3 a week while you're doing maybe a major cleanse, like a juice cleanse or a water fast or something like that. Please, my friends, just don't overdo them, because I've noticed they will really start to cause you to feel drained, and they will be too abrasive on the rectum and the anus. It can cause some bleeding and things like that, especially if you have any hemorrhoids or problems in those areas. So please remember, again, my friends, do some of these things we talk about with, a gentle awareness. But that's the main things I have today, talking about, cleansing of the body. But then I want to leave you with this one last thing, is that the thing you want to do after you've done a real good cleansing of the body and you're not doing any like liquid cleanses anymore, get back to eating lots of foods with fiber, because fiber helps to encourage the regrowth of our good bacteria, because that's actually why they call them prebiotics. Prebiotics are fiber that helps encourage the beneficial bacteria food for them to grow and to be abundant in our system, because fiber is so important. Also, fiber is very important for peristalsis or peristallatus. It's one of those tricky words again. And that's the movement that the colon uses to move food through our colon. And if you don't eat enough fiber, then the colon loses that function, because it's not able to squeeze against any fiber if there's no fiber there to squeeze against. So remember that, guys. And I hope everyone's journey to Wellville is balanced spiritually, mentally, and physically.